What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today the Houston Texans beat the New Orleans Saints 17-13 in the third and final game of the preseason. A great game by the Texans today. Stroud throws his first touchdown pass in his NFL career. I know it's preseason, but did not throw any touchdown passes up until that throw to Nico Collins, a 3-yard touchdown pass to Nico Collins in the first quarter on the second drive, and that was his first ever touchdown pass, and hopefully we see way more of those when the regular season starts 2 weeks from today when the Texans play the Ravens. I'd like to see way more touchdown passes from C.J. Stroud. There were 85 touchdown passes in the previous 2 seasons with Ohio State, the Buckeyes, so I'd love to see some more touchdown passes from C.J. Stroud going into the regular season. But yeah, great win for the Texans today. Defense looked nice. Had 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Xavier Hutchinson, who I really didn't feel like we were seeing a lot from him in the first couple preseason games, really looked good today from the Texans. Not only receiving out there as a wide receiver, but it was looking solid on special teams as well for the Houston Texans. Let's go over this game for Houston. So, scoring. So we're going to start off with the scoring summary. So first score belongs to the Texans, and it's a C.J. Stroud 3-yard touchdown pass to Nico Collins. Kaimi Fairbairn makes the extra point. It's 7-0. And in the second quarter, we have 2 scores. Jameis Winston throws a 3-yard touchdown pass to Jimmy Graham. I mean, I know this is not going to be the 2013 Jimmy Graham that we saw from the New Orleans Saints, but I mean, Jimmy Graham looked really good in this ballgame, made some really good catches, and I know he's not going to be that same player he was, when Jimmy Graham was one of the best tight ends in football, 2013, 2014, those years. But, I mean, he looked really good today. Didn't even play at all last year. I'm telling you guys, Jimmy Graham's going to be big for this Saints team this year. I think he'll make their roster. But Jameis Winston threw the 3-yard touchdown pass. So 2 3-yard touchdown passes by both teams. Both touchdowns were both 3-yard touchdown passes, and Will Lutz makes the extra point at 7-7. And then almost going into halftime with 1 minute and 49 seconds, Kaimi Fairbairn makes a 28-yard field goal to make it 10-7. And then the third quarter, this kicker Blake Group, he's a rookie, but it looked really good. 38-yard field goal, 10-10. He also made a 50-yarder in the fourth quarter. He did try a 60-yarder, was a little bit close, but was way off. I mean, honestly, was quite a bit off, but was close from a 60-yarder as a rookie. But then, so Kaimi Fairbairn makes the 28-yard kick, and then Group makes the 38-yard kick, 10-10. And then the Texans scored their second and final touchdown of the ball game and their final score of the game with 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Mike Boone has an 11-yard touchdown run to make it 17-10. Kaimi Fairbairn makes the extra point. Then the fourth quarter, with 9 minutes remaining, Blake Group makes a 50-yard field goal, and it's 17-13. All right, let's get into the game leaders. Passing yards, E.J. Perry led the Texans in passing yards. No one really had a lot. I think Mills had 53 passing yards. Stroud had 16, but Stroud only played 2 drives. But, I mean, honestly, E.J. Perry looked solid for the Texans. It wasn't great, but looked solid. And was testing his deep ball as well on a couple throws. Didn't really ever hit anything. Those are really most of his incompletions. Most of his incompletions were on deep ball attempts, but I thought he looked very solid. Leader in passing yards for the Saints was rookie Jake Haener. I think he's a rookie. 17 for 38 with 172 passing yards and threw 2 interceptions. And then rushing leaders, how about Mike Boone, who had the touchdown, had 7 carries for 51 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Jake Haener leads them in passing yards. He does the same thing for rushing. 2 carries for 32 rushing yards and then receiving yards. How about Xavier Hutchinson, the rookie, 6th-round pick for the Houston Texans, looked great, and he continues to look good for this Houston Texans team. Has looked great through training camp and practices, but has not done much throughout preseason, and he finally did that today with 4 receptions for 48 receiving yards. And then how about this tight end from the New Orleans Saints, Luke Kroll, it's either Luke or Lucas Kroll. I think it's Lucas Kroll. This kid was just absolutely balling tonight. Funny thing is, I think it was like 2018, 2019, whatever it was, that he was like drafted in like the 34th round of the MLB draft to the San Francisco Giants. But then he went to Florida and for college. and then got drafted to the NFL. And he had a really solid day. He had 7 receptions for 106 receiving yards, and was definitely Jake Hayner's favorite target. I mean, we'll see it in just a second, but I mean, that tight end right there, Lucas Kroll, was getting a lot. Yeah, here it is, 15 targets. 15 targets. Only caught 7, but Jake Hayner, the quarterback, was throwing it definitely throwing it to Lucas Kroll's way. So it's Lucas, not Luke. All right, so passing. Davis Mills kind of struggled today. He was brought down a lot. He threw 6 for 11, 53 passing yards. Did lead one scoring drive, was the field goal, the 28-yard field goal kick by Kaimi Fairbairn. But same time, he was sacked 3 times. He did fumble once, but the Texans recovered. Jarrett Patterson, rookie, recovered the fumble. But there was a forced fumble on Mills. He was sacked 3 times. Did lead a scoring drive, though, so Mills wasn't terrible, but he wasn't that great either. And then C.J. Stroud, his stats, it doesn't look like he did a lot, but at the same time, Stroud did not play a lot in this ball game. Only played 2 drives, but threw a touchdown pass, through 2 for 4 with 16 passing yards and 1 touchdown. He connected with Dalton Schultz on a 13-yard pass, passing play, and then he connected with Nico Collins for a 3-yard touchdown. CJ was 2 for 4, 16 passing yards. And I got to stop this breaking news. CJ Stroud has been announced the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Houston Texans, which I knew that was going to happen soon, but I had to interrupt it right there. I just saw it on the screen. CJ Stroud has been announced the Houston Texans Week 1 starting quarterback. All right, so 16 passing yards with 1 touchdown for CJ, and he is now the Week 1 starting quarterback. Love to see it for CJ. All right, and I'm very excited I'm very excited that D'Amico has finally announced that. All right, so let's get into some of the rushing yards for the Texans in this ball game. By the way, for the Saints, Jameis Winston threw 11 for 16 with 93 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Kondre Miller, rookie, 3rd-round pick, had 8 carries for 14 rushing yards. For the Texans, Mike Boone led them in rushing yards with 51, but Larry Rountree III had 31 rushing yards and 10 carries, and Dameon Pierce, who I really liked what I saw from him, had 5 carries for 30 rushing yards. Devin Singletary, who I thought had a really good game as well, had 7 carries for 22 rushing yards, and would have had a rushing touchdown if there wasn't a holding call on tight end Nick Vannett in the drive where the Texans scored the 28-yard field goal. All right, receiving besides Hutchinson, Mike Boone had 4 receptions for 26 receiving yards. Adam Humphries had 2 receptions for 18 receiving yards. Dalton Schultz had 1 reception for 13 receiving yards. Jordan Murray had 1 reception for 8 receiving yards. Devin Singletary had 1 reception for 7 receiving yards. Larry Rountree had 1 reception for 4 receiving yards. Nico Collins had the 3-yard touchdown. Robert Woods, starting wide receiver, was targeted once, no receptions. Jalen Camp was targeted twice. Johnny Johnson III was targeted once. And rookie Tank Dell was targeted once as well. All right, the only fumbles in this game was the fumble where Davis Mills fumbled, and it was recovered by rookie 5th-round pick Jarrett Patterson. And then getting into defense for the Texans, leader in tackles for the Texans today was Eric Murray with 6 tackles. The Texans had 2 sacks, and the sacks were by Desmond King II and Khalil Davis as well. And they had 7 tackles for loss. Here are the tackles for loss: Adedeo Odudele, Jalen Petrie, love Jalen Petrie. Jonathan Grenard also had 1. Jerry Hughes, Desmond King II, Khalil Davis, and Corey Littleton. And both Eric Murray and MJ Stewart led the tackles with 6 each. And then interceptions, you have 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Someone I really like, who I know will probably not make the Texans 53-man roster, Cameron Dantzler with 1 interception, and Grayland Arnold with 1 interception as well. And that was it for this ball game. Thought this was a really good game for the Houston Texans today. I liked what they showed in this ball game. I know the starters did not play a lot today. Will Anderson did play a little bit, but did not have any tackles in this ball game. So yeah, these are thoughts. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.